Woodside, Queens, number 2, July 25th, 2010, with me, your host, Crazy New York Driver. How's everybody doing? This past Sunday, July 25th, we decided to do round 2 of Woodside, Queens, and check out some of the sights. It was an unusually warm day, something we don't get much around here. So we started earlier than usual. We came across this neat old former White Castle, which is now a restaurant. And there are still a few of them left here in the city, but not very many. These old fire alarm pull boxes are always popular. These are on the corner of 54th and 32nd Avenue in Queens, and I stumbled upon them just by accident and thought they were neat. The old Moore-Jackson Cemetery was also a big hit with the gang. You'll see several really old headstones in there, though the city does not seem to care for the cemetery as much as it should. Those are the things that happen with bureaucracy now and then. Continuing along our way, we came across various apartment complexes which were a lot different than the ones you usually see. There's, of course, these boulevard gardens. I happened to accidentally step on the grass, which is a real no-no there. They're very protective of their grass, so if you happen to be checking out their property, do not walk on the grass, okay? Another big draw are the Woodside houses. What's really weird about these is they have these big murals that have been hand-painted at the base of the building. I was lucky enough to get some good shots of the murals, and it shows a lot of work went into them. Let's take a look at some of those murals right now. Here we go. You can see some person or persons spent many hours working on these, and you can see it in the detail. As I said, it was an unusually warm day, something we don't get much around here. And when I say warm, I'm talking like 90, 91 degrees, and I know a lot of you guys out west are probably thinking, what's wrong with him? We had 110. Well, you do, but we don't, and we just are not used to it. Last year we only had one 90-degree day all summer. But continuing on our way, we met a lot of good people. Here we met a man named Mario who owns this old diner. Let me turn the microphone over to Mario. Let him say a few words.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll do something. We'll bring the group.
Last week I have a regular sort of they come over here to take a
and I've been in Woodside.
Maybe we
Folks who on the first floor saw me as the guy in the church.
Yeah.
It's like, you could tell me how many people you could fit in.
Yes, and I tell you also because on a busy time, nobody can fit it. Today, they have the parade over here, the feast over here. Sure. Saturday, Sunday, 9 o'clock in the morning, yeah, it's busy time. So, but we find time, the whole week.
Come by one day, we'll talk.
Yes, yes.
Very good.
Oh, look. Not a neighbor, so exactly. Yeah.
Was shipped by railroad, and the biggest railroad terminal is just around us over there on the south, Sunnyside Yards. So what happened was raw materials would be shipped in to Sunnyside Yards, offloaded, and then carried a very short distance into this neighborhood, and then transformed into finished goods, or partially finished goods into finished goods, and then put on new railroad cars and shipped out. Okay, so this area rose as the importance of railroads rose, and because we're near the seaport, we get the goods from boats as well. And then as the railroads become less and less important in shipping finished goods around the United States, the area begins to decline. So around in the 1960s, when I'm around, I'm seeing all the factories and all the warehouses begin shutting down one by one, and then 20 years later, the neighborhood rises again as a retail hub and a hub for selling cars and used cars and several small businesses. So that's sort of the evolution of a neighborhood happening over the period of 100 years, rising with the railroads, falling with the railroads, and then rising again.
Continuing on, we came across the old Newton Railway Company. Believe it or not, Trolleys ran out of here as recently as September 1937. What a wonderful old building this was, and we were fortunate to get some pictures of it. Something else you don't see, are these old Coca-Cola signs, which were very prevalent back in the 50s, 60s, and even the early 70s. These were given out to certain dealers by Coca-Cola themselves, and they are just impossible to find anymore. We went across and we checked some other things as well, and we came across an interesting section of street called Matthews Flats. Basically, Matthews Flats, which is 48th Street, was financed by letters of credit exporting wine to Switzerland. We were fortunate enough to actually meet Bob, a professional man who lives in the area and is an expert. Let's let Bob tell you a little bit more about this area.
Okay, thanks for coming to our community, Long Island City Astoria. I hope you folks are pretty impressed. Actually, we got a crowd of this size coming out on a day like today. And thank you for the build-up in the Matthews Model Flats. This particular house belongs to my friend Debbie's family. He's had it since the 1920s. We actually knew the Matthews family. This was the model house for the block. This actually has the largest number of Matthews Flats in any block in New York City. There's over 50 buildings on this block. These apartments are, there's actually a window in every room. They were considered to be very advanced for their time. As a matter of fact, in the, was it 1910, when they had the Panama Pacific Exhibition, New York City sent 3 models to show the great promise of this city for the 20th century. One was a model of Grand Central Station, showing the transportation network, the wonderful transportation network of this city. The second was the Williamsburg Bridge, showing an engineering marvel of New York City. And the third, Matthews Model Flats, which showed the promise of the future of housing immigrant populations. This was working class housing built for Mr. Everyman. Matthews would always advertise, we buy by the acre, we sell by the lot. These homes never had a foreclosure. It's amazing. They had a fabulous model of building housing for working class families that was lost. These homes remind everybody of what New York City could do at one time. You will notice inside as you walk by here, for example, in this building, you'll see grape leaves. As our friend here had said, what happened was that the Matthews, which was a German family, Gustav X. Matthews, had a lot of money in Germany. World War II broke out. The German government did not want to have any money exported. So what he did was he came up with a very clever idea. He took everything that he had, liquidated everything, and bought wine. Tons and tons of these wine, big barrels, sent them all to Switzerland under letters of credit, sold them in Switzerland, which was a neutral country, took all the money out, and to commemorate his cleverness, he built this block of homes in 1915. We built each section at a time, 10 buildings at a time. And you'll notice these have cornices on them, metal cornices. You see across the street, no metal cornices. Why? Because by the time you got around to building those, it was in 1917, 1918. The United States was already in World War I. They needed scrap metal. There was an embargo in exporting all that, or building that for homes. So they they actually designed these homes without cornices on. Any questions about these houses?
Were there more trees on the block way back when?
There was never trees on the block. We have photos of this block in up until like the 1950s. Not a single tree on this block. Okay, I mean actually the trees were actually put in. The first set of trees were put in for the movie. After they filmed the movie.
Okay guys, I'm running a little late on this video right now, so I'm going to have to bring this to a close. I'd like you to remember that I'm Crazy New York Driver and you're not. Keep to this station and you'll be seeing some more neat videos, not just of New York, but also of eBay, because I know a lot of you guys want to see some eBay stuff from me, and I'll have an eBay video out in a day or two, I hope. Thanks. Thanks for watching. Comments below. Bye.